Okay, this is going to be a weekly recap from the 11th of April to the 14th of April because the 15th was not a trading day. That was Good Friday, so there were no trades that day. But I went ahead and looked over the trades, and at this point where I am right now in the week, I don't really remember these trades. I'm sure as I start to go over them, I'll start to remember it. But I just looked over and I noticed that I think 9 out of the 12 trades I had this week was with KGKG, and this was a very depressing and ugly stock that trades horribly, trades with a spread, and then it's sporadic at more times than not, and it then had like a 50% downtrend, right? And it was just such an ugly stock to go long, and I guess the fact that pretty much all of my trades were with KGKG, and I ended up break even. It's just good for my ego that I didn't lose anything, even if it was just 5 pennies. And I think the better part is that I just learned a lot from trading this stock and just, getting more experience in general. There weren't really setups with the other stocks out there. There was one opportunity with CYBL in the beginning of the week, and I did try that one, but yeah, this was basically just trading KGKG, and this stock was very ugly. This was a very good stock to be sure because of the way it would trade, but the way it dropped was just pretty ugly. And before I go over the trades, here's a chart of KGKG. It had an initial run up here, and then it kind of consolidated. This was nice when it broke the level, and it had three uptrending days. But then when it fell hard. This day specifically right here. And yeah, let's go over the trades. But it really was a break-even week. Just 50% of my trades were profitable, which was, half. At least more of my trades were according to my dollar risk level than it has been in a while, which is good. And the rest isn't good. My average dollar gain was smaller than my average dollar loss, and my average percent gain was smaller than my average percent loss, and even my dollar position size on the winning trades was smaller slightly compared to a losing trade, and there was clearly a difference in that the setups that worked. I held on to it longer than the setups that didn't work that I cut quickly. I made just 5 pennies with $1,500 of trading volume, trading very small positions. I mean, an average $140 positions. And yeah, let's go over the trades. Mainly KGKG, but there was an opportunity with CYBL. Let's go over the trades one by one. And two of these trades right here, they were speculative trades. I didn't trade like an average position size. I didn't include them in the stats. You can see right here, right? I traded very small sizes here just to see if the setup would work. Let's go ahead and go over the setups. And the first one is CYBL for the 11th. And this was a morning panic bounce play. So let's look at CYBL. So the 11th of CYBL is right here, and it did have a run up, nothing too crazy, but this is one of those type of stocks that maybe isn't like KGKG and that has been uptrending nicely over the past few days, but this one is just one in particular that actually does a pretty good morning panic bounce play. There's actually a nice one here on the 8th, but I don't think I traded that, or maybe I did. That was on another week. Let's look at the 11th, which is right here, and I was in at 9:34 a.m. 188. So let's look at 9:34, which is right here, 188. So this one clearly did not work. At least it didn't work when I got in right here, and I got out the next minute at 187. 9:35, 187. So again, I was in here at 188, and I got out the next minute at 187. Why? Because it looks like it was gonna break under, or maybe it did break under, and I got out before it could have downtrended more, which it did right here. It did find an ultimate bottom in the 183 level, as you can see, and I remember if you go back to the video that I have for the 11th, I did try to buy, I think at 186, 20,000 shares, but I wasn't able to get filled. It did work. This was a morning panic bounce way that did work. I just didn't get in right when it was turning around. I got in a bit too early. I did try again when it actually was working, but this was the first trade here. It was just a small loss. This was a pretty good attempt, and I did stick to a $10 risk level, and I got out because it was breaking a support level. that led me into the trade in the first place. So I probably saw a downtrend and I thought it was going to hold this level. And when it looks like it was going to break it, I got out, and I got out for a very small loss compared to what it could have been if I just continued to hold. And, it's never good to be in a trade and then it's breaking your support level and you think, oh, I'm just going to hold on to it. It might not drop that much. And then, maybe here it only drops to the 183 level, but what if it breaks 18 and now you're in 17? So this was a good trade nonetheless. I just didn't get in right when it turned around, and when it did turn around, I did try, but I did not get filled, which is fine. Let's look at the next trade, which is KG on the 11th. This is a dip buy after a morning spike, not at VWAP. All right, let's look at KG for the 11th. Right here is the 11th. So this is the last big green day before it had a first red day and before the humongous red day. But let's look at the 11th. This is right here. Let's highlight the entire day. I was in at 9:48 a.m. at 234. Let me zoom in a bit more. Right here, I was in at 9:48, 234. So why did I get in this trade? Well, I would have traded this, but I didn't see it when it happened. This was like a nice high-end day breakout, and it broke this 21 level, and it had a super nice spike into 25, which is very nice in terms of percentage. And then it started the downtrend, and I got in because it looked like it was going to dip and then hold this support level in theory right here around 23. And I thought I could be in the trade for that reason. It's going to hold support. Worst case, I get out if it breaks the support level or it looks like it's about to. And best case, it continues to uptrend. And like in this example right here, even put up a higher low, or I guess this was a double bottom, and then a higher low here. And it continued the uptrend and got as high as 29, almost 30, which would have been super profitable. I haven't really been at that point in my trading career where I get in a setup and I hold on to it for a very long period of time, especially on a stock like this that's been uptrending nicely, that I could be able to sell in the 29s after being in the 23s. But I do want to be a part of that and have that type of patience that I'm trying to get better at slowly but surely to be much more profitable. But it also looks like a bull flag too. If you look at Google and search bull flags, this looks like one. But I was in it for the dip, and I put not VWAP because I normally like it when the stock has maybe a spike like it did here, and then it drops at VWAP or maybe slightly under it, and then it turns around. But because this one is so strong, and you can see how strong it was at this point of the move, I thought it might not even dip to VWAP and continue the uptrend, and that was exactly what happened here. I got out at 9:51 and 235. Right here, I got out at 9:51 at 235. Might have been right here the next minute, but I sold right here, which was slightly higher than my entry at 234, and that was a problem with KG. This one trades with a spread, a really ugly spread, and then it would make it look really bad, and then it would downtrend, and then the next candle really strong. And this thing is extremely bipolar and crazy the way it traded on the way up and down. And unfortunately, this stock just trades ugly. If this was CYBL, I would be super upset with my sell here at 9:51, but the way this one trades was super ugly. But it did, in theory, just looking at the chart, make a really nice move. Hindsight is 2020, but I also probably had a fear that we are where we are right here in the chart, and it might eventually have a big red day, or this might be the big red day. But that was a pretty good setup. I just wish the stock traded better, and maybe I can be more patient with this type of stock in the future. But I think that was a pretty good attempt. I can't describe the way this one trades other than the fact that it was just really ugly. Maybe some of you guys have seen KG trade. It's not a very pretty stock. Let's look at the next one, which is ABML on the 11th. This is a wordy one. Inverse head and shoulders VWAP breakout near multi-day support. Jeez, what a long description. Let's look at ABML for the 11th. If I type it right. Right here is the 11th. Not a very impressive red day, but I do like how it was dropping towards this, in theory, support level around this 111 level. And it did eventually try to turn around. Let's look at the 11th, which is right here. And I was in at 10:04 a.m. 116. So 10:04 was right here at 116. So I got in right here. And you can see I had a pretty big move towards the upside. Let me see if I can make sense out of this and read my description. Inverse head and shoulders, VWAP breakout near multi-day support. Okay, so the idea with this one is that it had a downtrend. It got to this level around 111, which is super close to this range, as you can see right here. And then it did kind of turn around, and then it was trading back and forth, and it was holding support. It looked like it was trying to maybe uptrend, and the goal was that I was going to get in. Right after it dipped and held support, it started the uptrend and break this pink line here, which is VWAP. And that's clearly what it did. It made a move as high as 121. It wasn't that strong in that it came back and it didn't like continue to put up higher lows and uptrend throughout the day. But for what that was a setup that worked out. And I got out the next minute at 118 and a half. So right here is when I got out, probably right here. And I remember this trade now. I got out of it right here because I didn't like how it just shot up in the air and then it did absolutely nothing. It felt like right here in this candle where it was just sitting around. And I didn't like how it just spiked up. In theory, I would have liked it if I was in right here at 116. And it slowly started the option and I would have held much better. But when it just shot up the way it did, and then it wasn't doing anything in this minute, I got out because my fear was that it would just immediately turn back around, especially because this one doesn't trade with the best volume at times, but it actually did get higher. It got to the 120s, and let's just see what a best case scenario at 121 would have been, right? That would have been a lot nicer in terms of percent gain and everything, but I don't mind myself because this one was kind of sketchy the way it did it. And I also said it was an inverse head and shoulder, so doesn't really look like one that much, but in theory, I saw the shoulder, the head, and this one drops towards that support level again at this 111 level, and it held it uptrend. And then I thought this was like a shoulder, and I got it right here because it was at the very end of the shoulder, and it looked like it was going to break VWAP. That's exactly what it did, and it was a nice move towards the upside for what this was. Let's look at the next one, which is KG again. This is a high day afternoon breakout, and this one did not really work. Let's look at KG for the 11th again. Right here. Yeah, it's really not bad trying to trade a stock that looks as clean as it is here, just looking at the chart, but the price action for this one was just horrible, unfortunately, but at least I got to learn from it, especially if other stocks are going to have to, trade that ugly. I will, at that point, continue to get better and learn how to trade these better. I was in at 3:46 p.m. at 29 flat. So let's look at 3:46. So that was back here. $3.46. And what was the price again? 29. 3:46 was right here, 29. I got in right here, and why this was resistance, it didn't get to 29 here, it didn't get to 29 here, and here at the end of the day, third day in a row that's at least like a big day, it got to 29, and this was like a breakout. My thought was that, okay, it's the end of the day, it just broke this 29 level. The day high is also going to be this 30 level. I thought I could be in at 29, and maybe it'll even continue to uptrend and break the level right here at almost 30, and then it can like close really strong with a bunch of panic buying at the end of the day, because of how nice and strong it is with all the hype around it. And I did get out 3 minutes later at 292, which is a small difference. Just to confirm again, yeah, 349. I got it right here at 292. And why? Dude, the price action was really ugly on this stock, and I got in, and it looks like there were a lot of sellers, a lot of dumping, a lot of bad price action, and that looks like it was gonna close ugly or maybe like fail and reject, but it did get a bit higher. But this one also trades with a spread, and I'm gonna give myself some slack. The only thing I could have done better was that I should have had twice the amount of shares, 10,000 shares, because that meant would have traded a $10 risk level, and I would have made just a little bit more. This thing does not really trade that well, but this was a very good attempt for what this one was, a high day breakout. At the end of the day of a third green day, that's super strong, and again with a lot of hype and momentum behind it. Let's look at the 12th KGKG for a high day breakout. So at this point of the day, I guess maybe it was still uptrending, but it did end up being a red day here. Let's look at the 12th, which is right here. I'll actually zoom in a bit closer since this was a high day breakout. I got in at 9:30, so this was like right at the market open at 30. Let me just inch out a little bit right here. I got in right here at 9:30, and that was at the bottom here at 30. And why did I get in this trade? I got in this trade because it looked very strong. I guess I will include a little bit of the pre-market price action. It doesn't really show that much, but it was looking very strong. There was a lot of people supporting this at 299, and I got in at 30 because that was the high of the other day, and it was already at this level. A lot of support at 29.9. I got in at 30, which was the ask. I know it's 3 cents, but it just makes more sense to me to call it that. To me to say 3 cents and then 0.02, it just sounds stupid. But this was it, a high day breakout, and this one did work out. I mean, it got as high as 32, and it did downtrend a little bit right here, but it still held above the same level, and it got 233. So let's go ahead and look at my sell, which was the same minute at 308 right here. And why did I sell? It was a very excessive spike. Again, I always want to sell quickly if it just has an excessive spike. And this is also a high day breakout setup. I've been really good with dip buys, morning panic bounce plays, and high day setups I just have less experience with, but I am getting better at that. So I'll be more conservative on my sells there, and that was the case there. Very quick. It did have like a scary minute, just like ABML, where it just spiked up and then it paused for a minute and then it continued to run up. I guess maybe with more experience I could maybe get better with that, but that was a setup there, and that was pretty good for what that was. And I also traded my $10 risk level, which was good. The only thing I say right here is that I could have sold half. So maybe with the way this one was trading, maybe I felt like I could have sold half of my position and then risk the other half if it were to have broken my original entry, or maybe I guess my original entry is pretty close to my risk level, which would have been this 29 support level breaking, and that would have allowed me to maybe sell the other half for a profit, even higher than my sell here at 308 and maybe make more money. So let's just see what a sell would have been like if maybe I sold at 308 and then I sold the other half at 32. So maybe let's just say 313, what that would have been. Yeah, that would have been a lot more profitable. A really nice percent gain too. Definitely something I could do. And yeah, that's totally something I can try doing. I've been doing better with stuff like that when it comes to morning panic bounce plays. But this is again something I'm developing, high day breakouts, and this could be something that I can try to trade as well with that same thing in mind. I'm gonna get a drink of water, and I'll be back with the rest of the trades to go over. Okay, let's look at KGKG for the 12th, and this was the second out of the 3 trades I had. I believe with KGKG, yep, that was the case. Let's look at the second one, and this was a high day breakout again. So this was another trade going for another high day breakout, not the same level, but same setup. Let's look at KG, and that was at 948 at 330. And this one was also a speculative trade. As you can see, I traded just a $32 position. I just wanted to see if it was going to work, and this was something I didn't feel comfortable trading a complete $10 risk level, which in this case would have been 10,000 shares. Instead, I just traded 1,000 shares. Let's look at 948 at 33, which was right here. I did get in when it looked like it was going to break the day high, which it actually did right here at 32.4, but I guess I thought 33 was that nice round number, and you know it would continue the uptrend. This one, as you can see, did not work out. I got out at 950 at 325 right here, and I probably just cut it because I didn't like the way it was doing it, and that you know it worked a little and then it started the downtrend fail, and I try to get out. Man, it seems like that water drink did not help at all. I just feel my throat drying up. But yeah, this setup clearly did not work out. And oh, that's right, I also learned something with this one. I had also a delay with Fidelity. So I had this thing where I learned with Fidelity and this stock in particular is that maybe it's uptrending the stock and I want to get out, and I place a limit sell order, and then when I place the order, the stock downtrends and I'm not able to get out of the trade at that price because it got lower. So then I have to cancel the order, and then it takes forever for that order to cancel completely. And then the issue with that is that I have to wait for the cancel to go through, and then I can place an order to sell the shares, and that caused a delay, so it didn't allow me to maybe sell at the level I wanted to. In fact, maybe something lower because of that delay. And what I learned to do with KG is that, you know, if I want to get out of the trade, I'm just going to put a sell order way below what the price is currently. And, you know, at that point, if it doesn't work out, if it starts downtrending, I at least still get out rather quickly than to, you know, try to get out at a very tight limit price and then it gets below it. Say I try to sell at 33, and then you know my order went through but it's not getting executed, it's not getting filled, and then now it's at 327. So I have to cancel the order, wait for that order to be canceled, and then place a new order, and then wait for that one to go through and be filled. I learned to avoid that when I had this trade, I believe right here with KG. This was a high day breakout that didn't work out, but I tried a very small position because again I didn't feel comfortable trading a $10 risk level. Let's look at the last trade. Actually, no, I had another trade. How many times did I trade KG on the 12th? Wow. I had 4 trades. That's crazy. Okay. Let's look at KG. This was a morning panic bounce play. Wow, did this really turn in? Yeah, I guess it did turn into a morning panic bounce play. Lower low. Let's look at KG. At 10:33, I was in at 273. Right here, I was in at 10:33, 273. And in theory, it did end up making a morning panic bounce play a bit later in the day, but it did drop from this 33 level as low as 28, which is pretty good in terms of percent difference. And I thought this was a morning panic bottom, and then I thought now this is the lower low, and then I'm trading for a bounce, a return. And as you can see, it didn't really work, and I got in right here. But, you know, it could have. It didn't work out when I got in. I was in at 10:33, 273. Yeah, right here. It did get lower, as you can see, the very next minute. And this one trades ugly with a big spread. As you can see, it was just massive and also a lot of volume too. So pretty unlucky with that one, honestly. And I got out at 10:34, 265. Right here is when I got out at 10:34. I probably was risking this 27 level. I'm in at 273, and then I sell, at least try to sell when it breaks it, or you know, it looks like it's about to break it, and because there's a delay with the orders and there's a spread, I got out at 265. It just didn't work out. And even if I were to have gone in maybe at this point right here at 266, It did uptrend, but not very much. It didn't get to VWAP, at least for a while, if maybe it did later. But yeah, that was a pretty good attempt for what it was. I just did not get in at the right point, and I think that's totally fine. It's hard to be perfect at everything, and losing is part of trading. Let's look at, oh, okay, so I did try again. Morning panic bounce play lower low, second attempt. This is when KG really threw me off in terms of how it trades with a spread and how in 1 minute, it looks like it's going to fall off a cliff. As you can see right here, it drops pretty dramatically, all the volume. And then the next minute, it just pops right back up like nothing is wrong and it's going to break out. And then, this one right here didn't do anything. But this is very common with KG's price action. And I tried again at 1036. I probably shouldn't have tried again because it was at the same level. But let's look at 1036, 272. Right here, 1036, 272. So I probably thought I tried to get in right here. Oh, it failed. It broke 27. Big panic candle. But then, oh, it's coming back. It's coming back. It's not going to do it again. All right, let me get in right here at 272. Well, what do you know? Next candle just falls right off again. And then it turns around. Very ugly price action, even though it doesn't seem like it on the chart. It actually is really ugly. And again, I shouldn't have tried it twice. And I got out the next minute at 265 again. Right here. Yeah, I got played. I mean, this stock got me good. I probably shouldn't trade stocks like this anymore. Very ugly, or at least maybe only obvious setups. This one wasn't so obvious as the high day breakout as it was right here in this first trade. That one was pretty nice, but yeah, this one got me pretty good, but it was a good learning experience and I didn't lose that much. It was a good attempt for what it was. And in theory, I was close to my $10 risk level too. It just did not work out. Now let's look at KG the next day, which is a regular morning panic bounce play. Let's check it out on the 13th. Yeah, here's the big ugly day. Just massive. I'll probably just zoom in right here. This was it. And let's see, I was in at 9:40 a.m. at 193. I tried to be very patient with this one and not get in unless it looks like it's really going to turn around. But this one is very smart. I feel like whoever's behind this stock just engineered this thing to trade in a way to make people lose as much money as possible, especially people who were trying to dip buy it, like me, and just really take the money out of them. I didn't, again, end up losing from this stock overall for this week, but I did make money on it the previous week when it was trading a bit better, and yeah, I mean, for this stock to drop as much as it did and trade as ugly as it did, I think it was a pretty good experience overall. And I got in again at 940 right here at 193 because I thought it was going to turn around. It clearly didn't. I mean, it kind of uptrended, but actually, I would change this thing to a no. This one did not work out at all, honestly. Yeah, I'm going to change that right here. This one did not work out. And that puts this thing into an F. So KG gets an F as to how it trades. It's very ugly. The setups did not work. This thing was probably super nice for shorting, but not for buying. And I got out at 941, 196 right here. And the reason why I got out at 196, which was almost the top, is that it looked like it was actually going to be the morning panic balance play, turn around and play off of this 2 cent level, and that I thought it was going to break under it. I broke under it more. I'm in right here, but it's going to turn around because it looks like it at the time. And I placed a sell order early ahead of time so that if it doesn't like execute immediately, at least I placed the order ahead of time so that I can get out on an uptrend. But I actually got out very quickly right here, and it did fail. It did try to build itself back up, but this one continued to downtrend. It got as low as the 14s. This was a great attempt for a morning panic bounce play on the stock that is ugly and never really offered it. And this was probably the closest thing to a morning panic bounce play when it got as low as a 183 level, and it got as high as the 197 level. But that was it, and that was when I tried it. But yeah, very ugly. I mean, do you see a proper point where I had a morning panic bounce play? This was it. You know, this would be like the lower low if this was the official bottom, but I guess people had a lot of shares to sell. Let's look at the next trade. This one did not work out at all. And I traded a super small speculative position just to see if it would work. And this one was ugly. This was my worst percent loss. And I'm glad, I wasn't an idiot and tried to trade an actual $10 risk level, because that would have been pretty painful right here. But, this one was just trading so ugly. I didn't want to put any money into this. And I guess in this case, it should have been 5,000 shares. Yeah, this one was super, super ugly. Jeez. Let's look at KG. I was in at 949, 192. 949 was back here. I got in right here. And when did I get in? I thought, all right, maybe the morning panic bounce play right here. I'm going to get in. Worst case scenario, it breaks a day low, which it clearly did just 2 minutes later. And, what happens with most stocks, at least, best case scenario is that it gets to VWAP, maybe slightly below it. Best case, it gets way above it and maybe goes green on the day, but this one did not work out. Freaking ugly. And this one gave me a really hard time getting out of the trade. I got out at 951 at 17.8, which was the very bottom, I believe, right here. Yeah. I tried to get out when it was at this level at 183, and it looks like it was going to break it, and I placed my sell order. I didn't get filled until the very bottom. It was just a very ugly stock the way it trades, and it did come back immediately the next candle a little bit, but this stock just really sucks for longing. This was a great stock, again, for shorting. Just literally looking at any type of setup where you would go long and you just go short. The setup right here was a great short. Inverse head and shoulder, shoulder, head, and then shoulder. It got to this level, was fighting resistance, short. That would have been very nice. And then right here, when it broke the day low officially, short. And then it got as low as the 148s. And, it did eventually uptrend and get to VWAP, but this thing was beautiful to short. Let's look at the next trade, which was on the last day, ABML. This was a reversal long support level. This setup actually did work, but not when I was in it. I mean, actually, no, this one did work. I just did not trade this one very well. I'll put a no because I sold on I sold on the random trend line, not a risk. And I did trade according to my $10 risk level. So let me adjust that. Actually, this was one where, I didn't trade this one as well as I could have. It was a yes. So let me get rid of that, make that a yes, and then a 1 no, which brings that to an 81. I'll be honest, this last trade, looking back, wasn't that bad, but I traded it pretty badly. I just threw a random trend line. If you watch the video I published on the 14th, I go over it in detail, but let me just adjust that. Yeah, this one actually worked out, but the way I traded it was ugly. Let's look at ABML for the 14th. 14th is right here, and the idea is that it was downtrending, and again, it was holding that 111 support level, and I wanted to be a part of a move towards the upside, a reversal. It had a green day right here, and then I wanted to be a part of this one, and maybe it would break past the 130 level and continue to get higher. Let's look at the 14th, which is right here, and I'll probably zoom in a bit closer. It's a bit hard to tell, but the idea was is that yeah, because this was the day right here. It's kind of hard to tell, but it was downtrending, right? And then it started the reverse, and then it broke this like 125-ish level, and then it got to the 130s, right? Then it downtrended. I don't know. All I can say is that this was a very important support level. I felt around the 120 level, which is no, actually not 120, 116, which was higher than the 111 level. But the idea was that just the other day, as you can see, it finished at 130, and it fell all the way back to the support level right here, thinking that it was going to play off of I guess the 120s. It's kind of hard to tell because I don't trade on TD Ameritrade. Just to summarize it, again, this thing is the goal that is going to turn around, you know, an uptrend. And it had a thing where it uptrended, right? And then it fell all the way back to the support level. And I just felt like I could play off of the momentum and see it turn around, which is exactly what it did. But I did not do well here because I traded a random trend line. I got in at 942 at 126 right here at the top. Why did I get in right here? I wanted to be in this sooner, but there was a big like 25,000 share seller at the ask at 126. But then I saw it disappear. And because I saw it disappear, I got in because I thought, okay, maybe the big seller just got out the way. And now this thing can really make a move towards the upside and can get to VWAP and if not much higher, which is what you can see it did it ultimately right here. It got as high as 133. But when I got in, immediately that big seller now reappeared at 125 and then at 124, I believe, and then it bullied it and I sold at the bottom here the next minute at 943 at the very bottom at 123. And my original idea was is that I was going to get in at 126, but worst case scenario, I'm going to get out if it breaks the day low, which was 123. And I'm lucky if I don't get out at 123, I'm out at 120, and that would have been a $10 loss. But what I did was that I got in and then I drew a random freaking trend line. And let me see if I can draw one. I think I drew it from here to here. And this was just a random trend line. Doesn't make any sense. Just a random line. And I got out when it broke the line right here. But it never broke the day low. It decided to hold itself. Sure, the volume wasn't nice, but it eventually did what I wanted. But because I drew a random trend line that wasn't actually playing off of the chart in any significant way, I got out. Even with that big seller, it never really broke it under the day low, which would have been where I would have gotten out of it. And it did work out. I got to the 130. So let's just see what a sell at 129 would have been, which would have been if maybe it started the uptrend right here, and then I got out the next minute at 129, even before it shot to 132. Let's just remove that. Let's see what a sell would have been there because it did work out for what it was. And I would have been profitable with that, but yeah, that was the case with that. Oh, geez, why does it say I'm slightly profitable? Let me go back. Oh, I guess later in the chart, I'll have to bring this back to 5 cents. I don't know where I made an extra $10. It seems like I think it was right here. Yeah, this should. I didn't put this back at 308. Okay, that was clearly not all of the things that I need to correct. Oh no, that was it. Yeah, it was just because of this one right here. Um, this setup did work out. It wasn't a bad setup. It was pretty dumb. It wasn't like super nice, but I was too harsh, and I might. No, I think I'll leave that the way it is because that's what I thought at the time. I might change this, but yeah, this setup actually wasn't too bad. It was a little bad, but not horrible. I just sold randomly because of that trend line I drew, and that was really dumb. If it were to have broken the risk level, okay, fine. That didn't work out too bad, but this one did work out, and I could have been a part of it if I didn't draw a random trend line and sell when I saw that break. Let's look at the last trade with KG on the 14th. This was another high of day breakout attempt. Okay. Let's look at KG on the 14th. Yeah, clearly not a high day in terms of the previous days, but let's look at the 14th. I probably thought because it had such a massive 50% drop, I figured maybe they could try to turn around. It didn't have to. It could have just continued a downtrend like NSAV did a very long time ago, but this could be something I'll be watching this week if it can try to reverse, but I just hate this way. Just hate the way this one trades. Let me zoom in right here. Assuming it was at this point of the day. I was in at 9:48 a.m. at 1:39. 9:48, right. Right here, 9:48 at 1:39. And it looked like it did have a panic. It did turn around eventually here, but I didn't want to trade it. I could have been in at 118 if you watched the video I made on the 14th. I went over it, but this one did play out. Just didn't like it because it could have continued a downtrend, and it wasn't the best trading looking thing. You can see how wicky this one is, how go all the way here, and then this candle went all the way up here, and then it started to be all jumpy, and then it eventually did an option. But I did get in right here at 139 because the level right here to break was this 14 level, which was the top of this candle right here at 139. It didn't even get there, but the idea was that it was going to break 14 and maybe try to continue a reversal after it just had a big massive red day here, and it kind of worked. I got out at 9:51. Wait, that was the wrong one. I got out at 10 o'clock, which, man, I held this thing for 11 minutes, and I really liked the way I traded this one. I had a good percent gain. I didn't make too much because of the fact that it trades with such a wide spread. I traded 5,000 shares instead of maybe 10,000 shares because 10,000 shares would have been a $20 risk level, and that's not something I was trading this week. And I got out ultimately at 10 o'clock, an average of 144. So let's look at 10 o'clock. I got out right here on average 144, which was really good. And I drew a trend line here, and this was a proper trend line that I followed. I don't know where I traded it off of. I think it was like this. And compared to ABML, this was a proper trend line. Again, I got in at right here, 139, and I sold a half at 145 when it was way above the trend line. I wanted to sell half of my position so that if it fails and breaks under the trend line and maybe I sold for a loss, at least I sold half of my position for a profit. And this was a realistic trend line off of this candle and this candle right here. Let me see if it was actually, yeah, it was the same level, the wick of this candle to the corner of this candle. This is the day I actually traded it, and I mark my entries and exits. As you can see, I have my sell here, and then the second one right there. Yeah, I saw when it looked like it was gonna top, or at least when it looked way above where it, in theory could be or should be off of the trend line. It could have continued more, but I would have had more patience to hold because I at least sold half of the profits, and now I'm just holding out the rest. And then I saw the other half right here, somewhere around here when it looked like it was going to break the trend line before it did, because I knew this one is very quick and ugly the way it trades. Just look at this. It started to look clean now. Not ABML, KG here, right? Finally looking clean, and then whoops, big red candle just wipes it all out with all the crazy volume, and then look at this ugly candle. It just made up all the ugliness that it wasn't doing before. And these two candles, and I could have traded the dip right here towards VWAP. It did make another attempt from the 135s as high as the 156 level. Maybe I would have drawn a realistic trend line. Maybe something, maybe here to here, right? So then I'd be selling right here. Maybe I would have sold a half right here, then the other half right here. But yeah, um, this was a lot better. Pretty happy that I held on to a setup for a pretty long time. I want to do that more. I need to keep getting better. For as ugly as KG is, I think I did pretty well trading. I hope I can do better next week, or at least this week, God willing. And yeah, just have to keep trying. And if I keep seeing more consistency, more profitability, better trading overall, I have to trade larger. It's just that I have to. It's no other excuse other than that. I'm not doing the right thing, and yeah, I need to continue to keep getting better. And that's all I have for this week right here. If you have any questions, if you're still watching this video, awesome. And yeah, leave a comment below, and I'll try to get back to you. That's all I have for this weekly recap.